You know exactly what you need to do. The opportunity arrived, the kind you had been waiting for, and you let it pass. Real, the job was right. The moment was finally yours, and something inside you quietly, methodically, you are not stupid, you are not weak, you are not cursed, is not what you think it is. And today finally I am going to show you exactly what is happening inside your mind when you sabotage the things you want most. The first thing I want you to hear before anything else is this: self-sabotage is not a character flaw. It is not proof that you are broken, or undeserving, or fundamentally incapable of having good things in your life. It is not laziness. It is not stupidity. It is not some mysterious curse following you from one chapter of your life to the next. Self-sabotage is a survival response. It is your nervous system doing exactly what it was trained to do by your experiences, by your history, by the lessons life taught you long before you were old enough to question them. In other words, you are not sabotaging your life because something is wrong with you. You are sabotaging your life because something happened to you and your mind in its extraordinary attempt to protect you from being hurt again. Learn to destroy good things before good things could destroy you. That is not weakness. That is a wound wearing the mask of a bad habit. And wounds, unlike character flaws, can heal, but only once you understand where they came from. Reason 1. Deep inside, in a place you may not even be fully conscious of, you do not believe you deserve the good thing. This is called core unworthiness, and it is one of the most quietly devastating psychological wounds a human being can carry. It does not announce itself loudly. It does not show up as a voice that says, "You don't deserve this." It is far more subtle than that. It shows up as a feeling of unease when things are going well, a low-level anxiety in a good relationship, a restlessness, a waiting for the other shoe to drop, a sense that this is too good, that you do not quite fit here, that at any moment the person or the opportunity will realize their mistake and take it away. And so, before they can take it away, you take it away yourself. You pick the fight that does not need to happen. You pull back just when things get real. You procrastinate on the application, the project, the conversation that could change everything. Because applying means possibly getting it, and getting it means possibly losing it. And losing it, after letting yourself want it, would be unbearable. Where does core unworthiness come from? Almost always from early experiences that told you that you are not enough. A parent who withheld love conditionally. A childhood where affection had to be earned through performance. Repeated experiences of rejection that taught you quietly, consistently, that wanting things only leads to pain. So your mind made a decision, a very logical, very understandable decision, given what it had experienced. It decided, if I never fully reach for good things, I will never have to feel the devastation of losing them. The sabotage is not self-destruction, it is self-protection, a shield built from old wounds, held up against the present that is actually safe. Reason to your nervous system has been calibrated to chaos, and calm feels wrong. This one is something that most people never hear explained, and yet it explains so much. Your nervous system learns what normal feels like from your earliest experiences. If you grew up in an environment that was unpredictable, where love was inconsistent, where safety was conditional, where conflict was frequent, your nervous system calibrated itself to that environment. It learned, this is what life feels like. This is what relationships feel like. This is what home feels like. Now as an adult, when something genuinely healthy comes along, a calm relationship, a stable opportunity, a person who is consistently kind without drama or agenda, your nervous system does not register it as good, it registers it as unfamiliar. And unfamiliar to a nervous system shaped by chaos feels dangerous, so it does what it always does when it senses danger. It tries to recreate the familiar. It creates conflict where there was none. It finds problems in situations that had none. It pushes away the calm person and gravitates toward the complicated one. Because complicated is what it knows. Complicated is what feels like home. This is why you sometimes find yourself thinking, when you are in something genuinely good, that something must be wrong. Why you feel restless in peace. Why you feel suspicious of kindness. Why the good thing feels somehow less real than the painful thing. It is not because good things are not real. It is because your nervous system has never been given the chance to learn that good things are safe. And until it does, it will keep pulling you back toward what it already knows. Reason 3. You are not afraid of failing. You are afraid of what succeeding would actually mean. This is the one that most people never expect. We talk a lot about fear of failure. We understand it. We have a framework for it. But there is an equally powerful and far less discussed fear that drives self-sabotage just as strongly. The fear of success. Because success is not just a reward. Success is also a responsibility. Success means being seen. It means people have expectations of you now. It means you can no longer hide behind the comfortable story of your own potential. The story that says, I could do it, I just haven't tried yet. Success removes that story. And for some people that story is the last safe place they have. Success also means change. And change, even good change, means leaving behind the version of yourself that you have always been. The person who struggled, the person who almost made it, the person who is defined by their pain and their effort, and they're not quite their ness. Who are you if you are not that person? Who are you without the struggle that has defined you? That is a terrifying question. And rather than face it, rather than step into the unknown of a life that actually works, the mind reaches back for the familiar and finds a way to ensure. But the good thing does not fully arrive. You're not afraid of the destination. You're afraid of having to become someone new to get there. And that fear, that very human, very understandable fear, is costing you everything. Reason for part of your identity has been built around not having the thing you most want. This is perhaps the most uncomfortable reason of all. And I want to be gentle with it because it is not your fault. But it is important that when we experience something painful for long enough, a period of being unloved, or unsuccessful, or lost, we begin to build our sense of self around that experience. We become the person who has been hurt, or the person who cannot seem to make relationships work, or the person who always almost makes it but never quite does. And that identity, as painful as it is, becomes familiar. It becomes comfortable. In a strange way, because it is known. Because people around us have come to know us through that lens. Because our entire self-narrative is written around it. Now imagine what happens when a good thing arrives. A healthy relationship. A real opportunity. A genuine chance to be happy. To have it would mean dismantling the identity you have carefully, painfully constructed around not having it. It would mean your story was wrong. It would mean you have to write a new one about a person you have never been before. And so, without fully realizing it, you choose the familiar story, even when the familiar story is painful, because at least you know how it ends. But here is the truth. You are not your history. You are not the story that pain wrote about you. You are the person who has the power right now, in this moment, to put down the old story and pick up a pen and begin again. I want to stop here and just speak to you, not as a voice explaining psychology, but as someone who sees you. You have spent so much time blaming yourself for this, calling yourself self-destructive, telling yourself you are your own worst enemy, feeling the shame of watching yourself again and again reach for something good and then quietly, almost invisibly, take it away. But I want you to consider something. Every single time you have sabotaged something good, your nervous system was trying to protect you from a pain it remembered. Every single time, it was not betraying you. It was trying, in the only way it knew how, to keep you safe. It was wrong. Its methods were wrong. The protection it chose cost you things that mattered. But the intention underneath all of it was to keep you from being destroyed by something good turning bad. That nervous system learned what it learned in a world that gave it very good reasons to be afraid, and it has been carrying that fear on your behalf ever since, without asking you whether you still need it too. You can tell it now. You can say quietly, with compassion, the way you would speak to a child who's been protecting itself for far too long, I am safe now. You can rest. I will take it from here. So how do you actually begin to stop? Here are 3 things, not quick fixes, but genuine starting points for someone who is ready to stop sabotaging the life they deserve. The first, learn to notice the moment before the sabotage, not after. Self-sabotage is almost always invisible in the moment it happens. You only see it clearly in hindsight, when the relationship is over, when the opportunity is past, when the damage is done. So the work begins with noticing earlier. Start asking yourself, in the moments when you feel the urge to pull back, to pick the fight, to procrastinate, to self-destruct, what am I actually feeling right now? Not what am I doing? What am I feeling? Because underneath every act of self-sabotage is an emotion, usually fear, usually unworthiness, and Emotions, unlike behaviors, can be worked with. You cannot stop a behavior you cannot see coming, but you can learn to see it coming. The second, practice tolerating good things in small doses. If your nervous system is calibrated to chaos, you cannot rewire it overnight, but you can begin to expand its tolerance slowly, gently for good experiences. When something genuinely positive happens, instead of immediately minimizing it or waiting for it to go wrong, sit with it for a moment. Let yourself feel it. Notice that you are okay. Notice that the good thing did not immediately disappear or hurt you. This sounds simple. It is not, but it is the beginning of teaching your nervous system a new truth, that good things are allowed to stay. The third, separate your past from your present, consciously and repeatedly. Every time you feel the pull to sabotage something good, ask yourself one question. Is this response coming from what is actually happening right now, or from what happened to me before? Most of the time, honestly, most of the time the answer is before. The fear is old. The wound is old. The protection you are reaching for is for a danger that no longer exists. And when you can see that clearly, when you can name it, you create a small gap between the old pattern and the present moment. And in that gap is where your freedom lives.